Hello. I want to give a shout out, a thank you to first Representative Al Green. And we would first say, why would you want to shout him out when he got put out of the speech that was given by your president? That's because he was defending everything that could make my life better, make your life better. But we don't see it that way. See, if it don't affect us, it really doesn't happen. He was a man amongst men, and the Democrats wanted to know why they're not in power, why they didn't get the presidency. They lost the majority in the Senate. You lost because you sit down there and act like a bunch of cowards when one of your own is being put out of the assembly, okay? You sit down there and act like you act improper. You scared to lose what you've been paid. You scared to lose anything. You're not representing the people. I'm so glad that I don't have to be in a foxhole with you and walk, because you would probably get out of the foxhole and run. The next thing I like to say is Al Sharpton's boycott plan. I'm glad that Big Al decided to show up, because for years we've been hearing his big mouth, and now all of a sudden they're trying to take even the vestiges of free speech from you. Your Medicaid, your Medicare, Social Security, is threatened, and nobody's trying to do anything. I hear Jasmine and a couple of other sisters and representatives lending their voice to let people know that they're not going to just sit up there and let this man sit down here and write executive order after executive order after executive order to enrich the wealthy and to make the poor poorer. And you who look just like him want to know why sometimes we don't get along. It's because of our past and how you act right today. Because if it doesn't affect you, and I'm talking about black Europeans and white Europeans, or pink Europeans. Now, Al Sharpton said a boycott plan. Now, I hope that we revisit this, because the only way that they're going to get those people to pay attention is to hit them in the pocket, where they're hitting us right now. Now, I have to get back to something, because I said that this timeline took a man years of his life to put together to tell us about our history. But if we don't care about our own self, and we don't care about the people that represent us, what in the hell do some of us care about history? And before I start reading on this, I want to say one thing. I heard that Steph Curry had faith in somebody, and he gave him some money so that he can help other people, and he ran off with it. I was saying to myself, how could that man get that close to him for him to give him that kind of money? When you got people, you can just look on any social media. You can go to any project, any recreation center. Steph, you understand what I'm saying? And you could find a way to divide that $1 million up and to give to the people who need it the most. So I don't know, I don't feel sorry for you. I respect you. I used to, at least, until I heard a couple of things. You say that you got God in you? Well, then you need to look in the mirror, Steph. Or maybe you already think you God. You see, I like you better when you were playing high school ball and when you just got in the NBA. I'm starting not to like billionaires because they don't like nobody but people that's rich. Now, I'm not jealous of nobody that has money, but I'm just wondering if they're selfish. Oh, you can give one or two people, but you're not going to do nothing for the masses. You're not going to make a dent. You're not going to try to lift us up, where you at, or lift us up to a better plane or level playing field. And I think I know why. That goes along with all of y'all rich ex-players and comedians and all kind of entertainers. Y'all doing a tap dance for him because you don't want him to take what he's giving you. 1650. This is a timeline, historical timeline, mostly for Africans, but everybody needs to know this. 1650, Connecticut legalizes slavery. Rhode Island by this date has large plantations worked by enslaved Africans. Slave laws, colonial America, Connecticut. 1650, the Dutch West India Company introduces new rules concerning slavery in the Netherlands. After gaining freedom, former slaves, for example, are required to give fixed amounts of their crops to the company. After the English capture of the colony, racial restrictions, colonial America, New York. 1651, Anthony Johnson, a free African American, imports several enslaved Africans and is given a grant of land on Virginia's whatever river. Other free African Americans follow this pattern. Africans in the colonial America. So African Americans enslaving African Americans. That sounds about right. I don't want to get mad because that's what they taught you how to do. You're taking a page from your master's book. So we can't trust you. And you know what? If we let you get away with it, so be it. 1652, Massachusetts enacts a law requiring all African Americans and Native American servants to undergo military training so they'll be able to help defend the colony. Now they want enslaved African people to protect the colonies who enslaved them. Now I know that takes some nerve. That's why they didn't want to put guns in their hand. Because you enslave somebody and then you ask them to protect you. Racial restrictions, colonial America, Massachusetts, to undergo military training so they'll be able to help defend the colony that enslaved them. 1652, Rhode Island enacts first anti-slavery law in the British colonies. The law limits slavery to 10 years. Oh, thank you. Gradual emancipation, that's a lie. United States, Rhode Island. 1653, enslaved Africans and Indian workers build wall across Manhattan Island to protect the Dutch colony from British invasion. The site of the wall is now Wall Street. Slave labor, United States, New York. So I bet y'all can't guess what the first commodity on Wall Street was, right? Nobody likes to talk about that. No, not even white folks that did it. I bet you were the first commodity on Wall Street. Anthony Johnson, the same Negro who went and enslaved African Americans, sues for the return of his slave, John Castor, whom the court had earlier treated as an indentured servant. Africans in colonial America, Virginia. 1656, fearing the potential for slave uprising, Massachusetts reverses its 1652 statute and prohibits blacks from arming or training as militia. New Hampshire and New York soon follow. So now they want to take the military training from the Africans and the arms away from them to make them helpless against not only their enslavement of their masters, but against the people who are coming to kill the masters. Colonial America, Massachusetts. 1657, Virginia amends its fugitive slave law to include the fining of people who harbor runaway slaves. They are fined 30 pounds of tobacco for every night they provide shelter to a runaway slave. Slave laws, United States, Virginia. Now, I want to stop right here, and I will continue with this timeline because my people, they suffer from a lack of knowledge. They will not educate themselves to what has happened to them, to their history. And I don't get paid, so you can just don't tune in because I'm going to say it anyway.